Record. And you guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am here with one of my very, very dear friends, Jenn Edden, who is the author of Woman Unleashed. She is a sugar addictions expert, among many, many things. You guys, she's an incredible parent. She's so like crazy inspiring to myself and my husband about how to tune in with our kids. And she is brilliant at tuning into our body and really listening not only to how our body talks to us, but also the mind and the anxiety, which is what we're going to address today. So Jenn's had a remarkable childhood, one full of a lot of obstacles, right? And a lot of opportunities to grow and learn, which is exactly what she has done over the years. And she is going to talk to us today about how to help with our holiday anxiety, because anxiety, I think, is so common for all of us, but holy cow, especially over the holidays. So welcome, Jenn.
Gosh, the truth. Thank you for that. And I love the remarkable childhood. That makes me so happy. It's the truth, right? Because anything that happens to us, even with the women working with you, right? So fortunate. As long as you use everything as a way to grow, I swear that alone right there can bring the anxiety down for so many women. So thank you for that intro.
So awesome. Cool. So Jenn, we have to start off with your story, right? So you guys, Jenn has been working on I don't know what the right word is. I want to say a TEDx talk because it's going to be a TEDx talk for sure in the future. I know it will, and TED Talk and all of these amazing talks. But she's been really working on a speech, and in that shares a lot about her childhood and her adult really major obstacles that you've been through. So can you just share your story with us so that we have an idea of like how anxiety can begin to show up from in our adult life from things of childhood and, just other major life circumstances we move through.
Jenny heard my 5-minute, I call it like my signature, right? It's my signature talk about how to kick and manage your addiction by tuning in, my whole tuning in. And because what you don't know is, so I was born very sick. I was born with a cyst on my neck. And so doctors put me on an antibiotic for the first year of my life. And I know Jenny talks all about gut health and how it's related to every disease, every part of your body. So when I was brought into the world, having been on an antibiotic without any probiotics back in the 70s for a whole year, my gut flora, I was destroyed. So naturally, you can imagine, I was a really anxious kid for many reasons, but one was from the biology, from whatever was going on in my body. And the beauty is it can be repaired, but when that goes on, people just have to know, right, when they start working with you, that that's one level, I say, of anxiety that can be healed and fixed. But then the excitingness of me and my family was, so I grew up with a lot of depression, a lot of mental illness from my father. So we had bipolar and highly sensitive women. And I know everyone working with you is this way. We absorb our environment, right? So I grew up not only with the flora totally gone in my body, but then I was absorbing all this kind of manic highs and lows in my house for forever till I moved out. And that was another level of my anxiety. And it's just incredible how you're raised really affects you. Jenny knows this one, right? Like it affects you in your adult years if you don't heal yourself mentally, physically. And so this is the work I do, right? I've handled all these pieces for myself where I don't have those highs and lows anymore. I don't have that stuff. And diet is a huge piece. So I was addicted. That's my whole thing, sugar addiction expert. I was addicted. I mean, still now, I'm a recovering addict my whole life, but I use so many of the tools, right? Jenny's helping me right now with something because she's so masterful, right? Everyone is so masterful at their craft. And so when it's outside the scope of us, we seek help. So Jenny is masterful at like next leveling gut health, I want to call it, which is having me feel even better. But that was pretty much my story. And then I got sick, I got gastritis, right? And so I had some near ulcer going on and a lot of bacterial stuff was bugging me. I survived a near-death gas explosion. Our Jenny wants me to say that one real quick, where it was really a
Oh
wake-up
yeah.
call that life is really short. And I know we've all had something. Some women have lost their child, God forbid, or they've had their own near-death life experiences. And I just choose to take them all to add wisdom, so that like, what can I do to give back? So I have these 3 beautiful kids, and Jenny said the nicest intro. They're 6, going to be 9, and going to be 11. And, you know, this stuff that I do with my clients, and Jenny and I talk about, you know, I transfer to my children, because they are sponges. For those who are moms listening to this, they're sponges. And so when we work on ourselves, we really work on our kids without even like realizing it. So that's pretty much my story. And I'm
That's
grateful to
amazing.
be here and to share my wisdom and my quirky tips.
I love it. Your powerful tips. So, okay, so you grew up in this household that had a lot of different kind of um, mental health conditions, right? There was depression, there was bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
And the way that you dealt with that when you were a child, or that you share in your speech, is that you went to sugar, right? Sugar was your comfort food. That was like,
Yeah.
that was what your survival mechanism to move through that environment, that space. And seeing that in retrospect, you guys, if anyone here is still struggling with the sugar addiction, we talk a lot about how to change the chemical makeup in our body to stabilize our insulin, to the tricks that we can do on a physiological level, right, Pam? We were just talking about this, to help subside cravings. But there's also this very powerful emotional component that goes along with sugar cravings. And here's the deal, you guys. Our liver and our large intestine are the largest producers of neurotransmitters in our body. Our liver and our large intestine. Our liver's primary job is to process toxins in the body. Its secondary job is to create the neurotransmitters that are sent to our brain to help us feel grounded, which means that helps to eliminate anxiety, to help our hormones feel balanced, right? But when we have the sugar, which you all know, right, is like the number one most inflammatory thing we can put to our body, and the liver's processing that, and the large intestine is overwhelmed with that, then they don't get to their secondary job of creating the neurotransmitters, which directly impacts our anxiety. So that's the physiological piece. Bam, shakalaka, right? But Jenn is going to talk to us more about, okay, what about this emotional piece? How do I know, Jenn, because I think this happens, especially over the holidays, we get really, really busy. Pam was just sharing, she was like, it was my kid's birthday, which by the way, it was just Jenn's birthday and her birthday, and she's eating like you guys are. Like, how do you move, how do you move through this process and become aware of the emotional aspect that is making us crave sugar or other inflammatory foods, whether it's we're too busy, it's our kid's birthday, we're channeling stuff from when we were a kid, from when we had a near-death bomb explosion in our house. Like, we all have a lot of major events, and I honestly think that a lot of it causes some form of like a PTSD type response, right? Like, whew. Yeah. And so how do we identify, like, okay, this is a physiological, but then I'm doing everything physically with my body to support the cravings. But now this anxiety is coming up and I need to comfort myself. And number one, how do we comfort ourselves? How do we stay away from sugar? Where do we find the awareness to know that it's an emotional component? And what, like, biggest thing, Jenn, what do we do about it? How do we move on from there and help ourselves?
So I'm going to jump on the last thing you said, because that to me is the most powerful. I feel like therapists, and I don't knock it for those who see them, because I used to. I don't do that anymore, but I used to. It's not so much the talking about it, it's the what are we going to do about it. And so, Jenny, them having you, and Jenny doesn't know I was going to say this, but like having the support is number one, especially around the holidays. I mean, I tell my clients that because we all need it. Because support is something that I believe, they say it takes a village to raise a family. Well, I believe it takes a village to freaking get off sugar, to heal yourself of any ailment. I mean, Jenny knows I was texting her this week, like, dear God, I know all this, but things are dying off for me. And I just need you to say, yeah, things are dying off and you're going to be okay. Like sometimes you need that. You always just need that person to bounce it off of. So you all have the last piece already handled, how we handle it. You have Jenny Carr. She's amazing. But the other pieces that are so important that I feel like this is the time of year where we speed up. We shop more. We eat quicker. We're on the go. Grab the spiced pumpkin latte thing. America runs on Dunkin'. I mean, I see women or just my clients. I see women at the gym frantic, trying to burn off calories. So what I do this time of year is I slow down. Oh,
that feels so good.
I slow down. So if you ask me what I'm doing this weekend, I'm free. Although my brother just asked to come over and I said yes for 3 hours. We can get to that one. I have boundaries. 12 to 3, you can come for brunch. I know what I'm going to plan. It's at my house. I'm going to eat whatever I'm going to eat and you know, make food for others. But I slow down. And when we slow down, we're able to hear ourselves and to decipher, is it physiological or is it like I'm tired right now and that's why I'm craving the cookie or the wine? Like what is it I want? And when we're running around, that voice in us, she can't be heard. She's frantic. So I would say number one, slow down. If we have commitments, I respect that we don't want to break them. Just don't make any more. I make commitments very carefully around the holidays. And I know that guide I gave out, one of them is, you know, I say thank you, no thank you, a lot. And I know that brings up a lot of stuff for people, but it's really important to put ourselves first when we're healing the way Jenny is teaching, right? This isn't a quick fix. It isn't a Band-Aid. And we need time for our body to process. So if you can slow down, because I'm going to tell you now, let's jump to this anxiety. This goes on for women at night. For the most part, unless Jenny can tell me otherwise, everyone's got their perspective. Cravings at night are emotional, at least for my clients. Usually we've eaten clean enough, especially if you're working with me or Jenny, that we've gotten the nutrients and something's coming up at 8 o'clock at night. That's emotional. There's something in our emotional body that's trying to tell us something. In fact, I tell women when they have anxiety, if it's not a die-off, right, there's something going on that Jenny teaches of parasitic activity and detoxing. There's like, and even if it is that too, check in, because anxiety is there for a reason. And every time I check in, she'll tell me what I need to change. Like for me, anxiety is my barometer, depending on where it is. And the more I hit this, I guess what I'll call anxious, but I don't see it that way anymore. I see it as how severely out of balance I am somewhere. I then can bring the needle back by checking in and saying, okay, where am I out of balance? And that is good. Right? It's incredible to witness. And yes, if you've eaten something that maybe you said you wouldn't, please don't have the guilt or shame. But for sure, anxiety can come from that. I feel like I'm talking to well-educated woman working with Jenny, but the general population really doesn't appreciate or understand that what we eat directly impacts our mood. But Jenny has primed you all. So the grass-fed, grass-feed, pasture-raised animals energetically are different to consume than the ones that are, you know, in the feedlots and all these other things. And you will feel that. So when people say they ate out this week and they're feeling more like anxious than usual, I say, well, just like, what'd you eat? How much of it? And let's go have some slow cooked home food. And that alone can bring anxiety down, the food piece. So it's a combo. It can be a combo of food. The food you're eating, and for sure, this rushing around thing makes me feel anxious.
Yeah, I love that. I love that tip of just slowing down. And it is so counterintuitive that like over the holidays, things are going to get busier and we have this and this and this and this and this. But we have the choice always to say yes or no. But here's my question, Jen. Like I have a bunch of questions from what you just said. There were so many good nuggets in there. But the first one is, you said you're really good at setting boundaries and saying thank you, but no thank you.
Oh, yes.
You've had practice. doing this. I know this. How do those of us who are, this is a novel concept, this is a new idea. It may be like, oh, I want to do that. You want to do it. You want to do it. It sounds good, but you have no idea. How do we say yes, or no, thank you, but no, thank you? And also, how do we decide what to say no to and what to say yes to?
Okay, great. So a coach of mine taught me this. So I'll go there and answer question 2 first, and then we'll go back to, because it is tricky. It is, and it's a muscle. I always say, like, muscle in your arm. When you first start going to the gym and working it out, it's flabby. So don't expect all of a sudden one day to be like, no, I love you, mom. I'm great with my mom with boundaries. And I'm not going to make it today because I need to take care of myself. I mean, that's like, that thing is firm. So you have to know that it's a muscle, this concept I'm talking about. And it's flabby in the beginning, but it does get stronger and toner and leaner. So think of it that way in the beginning, right? For those listening to this now or later, it's a muscle. It gets really strong. Mine is super toned, strong, and firm from sweating it out. Okay, so that's number 1. I need you to think about what it is someone's asking you to do. Perfect example, my children's book fair tomorrow. I have never done it. My son's been there 8 years. So for 8 years, I just haven't done it. But this is our last year at the school. And when I checked in with myself and I asked, Jen, would you like to take a day from work? Because I love what I do. And be there with the children all day. It was a light feeling. So I want you to try that. It felt light to say yes. So I said yes all day, knowing that I had things and these webinars. I'm so excited to get out into the world. But it felt lighter to say yes to the book fair all day. So you check in and you ask yourself. Now, years past, that was a heavier feeling. I felt like there were things I needed to do. And so I did that. So that is a really good barometer. And that may not be how you do it in the beginning, because they both might feel heavy. There might be so much guilt, you might not be able to tell. But I always say, so if that one, we set that one aside, I check in with myself and I say, well, what would take care of myself and my family this week? And so when you do that, to me, asking myself a question cuts through the shame and the guilt. And that's like, well, I know I haven't been feeling well this week, just thinking as an example. I've had a little cold, let's say. My child, let's say, had a fever. And, let's say going to grandma's on Sunday, that's probably not the best thing, right? Because you're asking yourself the question, what would be the best thing to do for me and my family? And if you don't have a family, that's fine, just yourself or a spouse. What would be the best thing health-wise? And when you ask yourself a question, I find there's no room for shame or guilt. So ask the question. Always ask a question. And so for me, I was supposed to see my mom Saturday, and I even told her I was going to come. But Friday, I knew I wasn't feeling great. And I know my kids don't really love it, and it would have been like, just go. But I wasn't feeling great. And so when I asked that question, regardless of the shame and guilt, mom might have gone shopping already, which she did, because she let me know when I called. Oh, I went shopping. What am I going to do with all the cauliflower and broccoli? Well, mom, you'll make it this week. She said, that's a great idea. I'll make it. But when I checked in with myself, I was not feeling good enough to have somewhat of an energy drain happens when I see my mom. And so I called her, I gave her enough notice, and I said, I'm so sorry, we're just not going to make it. I'm not feeling well enough. And you know what? When we make it about ourselves, and it depends on the company, but in the case of my mother, she heard that. And she said, thank you for telling me. I'm glad you're taking care of yourself. And that's a wonderful thing to have someone say back, but for you to put a stake in the ground. Does that make sense? I'll stop there. And
yeah, that's really powerful.
Or the lightness or heaviness will always give you the right answer.
I think that's 2 really great things, right? And so all of you listening, you guys have been practicing connecting with your body and hearing, what does your body say to you? How does it speak to you through symptoms? We haven't talked about, does it feel light or heavy? But you've had so much practice connecting and listening that do that test. See what happens. See how you feel. If it feels heavy, or if you ask a question, what do I need for my health, my family? I love that, Jen. And you get the answer, well, I should, right? Anytime there's a should, that is almost always, I will say in my case, it is always out of alignment, right? If there's a should there, it's like I want to do something, but it is not the right thing for me. And that can cause guilt if we put it on ourselves. But if we I want to say, if we tweak it, if we repitch it to ourselves, and this thought of like, well, what is in my highest good for my health? Because all of you who are listening, you guys remember when we came up with the one desired outcome, the one thing that you were most passionate and focused about in life, and you all connected that to your health. It wasn't necessarily saying I need to be healthy, but your health was the support system for what you were trying to accomplish in life. So if we ask ourselves, what helps, what's in my highest good to my health and my family's health, that's going to give you the answer that is in alignment with your desired outcome. That's beautiful. Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome. Highest good. I love that.
Yeah, highest good. Okay, and the other thing that you mentioned, Jen, was that you use your anxiety as a barometer. You and I both had a mentor who is actually, I'm bringing her on in January for our next group program for Have It All. And she's an amazing energy worker, Tamara Arnold. And she would often tell me, and I don't know about you, but she also experienced anxiety. And she would tell me, Jenny, anxiety is my superpower. I wouldn't feel anxiety as much, but I would, or maybe it's a different form of anxiety, but I would just freeze up. I would feel a lot of fear. I would feel different things would show up for me, and I just would feel frozen. So I don't know if that happens to any of you, but all of what we're talking about can support anxiety. It can support fear. It can support depression. Like it can support a lot of different emotions that you may be feeling. And so what Tamara would say is, it is your superpower. We can look at it as if there's something wrong or bad or negative with it. And then we create a story, and then we can go down some rabbit holes, right? Or we can see it as our superpower. We can see that it's coming up because either something is shifting and we have to move through that discomfort, or we need to be shifting something to move through that discomfort and break into where the magic takes place, right? It's that beautiful barometer telling us, what do we need to do to be into alignment? So I just wanted to re-emphasize that, Jen, because what a beautiful way of acknowledging our emotions and what's coming forth, and to turn it into a positive, rather than to say, oh no, I'm being overcome with anxiety, or here it comes again, or, you know, there's a lot of stories we can tell ourselves.
Same thing with cravings. So I do a lot of cravings work, right? And so cravings, very similar to anxiety, is what is it telling you? And there's a reason why cravings come up really strong at 3 o'clock. I don't find when we have a lot of anxiety at 3, I find it's the nighttime and they want to eat something. And I always say, you want to figure out why you're eating what you're eating. Someone else said, like, don't eat it, and just let those feelings come up. Gosh, feelings up, anxiety and cookies, like, don't go down. Like I always say, let the feelings up, the cookies don't go down. But the truth is, when you let the feelings up, you also, your anxiety goes away, because you're just letting up what it is that's bothering you. And I just want to share, because it doesn't have to be a food thing either. Like, I think Jenny knows, I was at the doctor wanting to get checked out for something that I had waited a month for this appointment. And the night before, she was talking to me and I was like, no, I waited a month. I'm going to go. And it's just this slowing down and tuning in. And while waiting for the doctor, 25 minutes, because, you know, I was always waiting for something, undressed, waiting for her to come in, like, I was noticing with myself, like, I'm feeling anxious. I wouldn't call it anxiety, but an elevated blood pressure. And I was like, what's up? Like, we talked to her. So please talk to her. She's always listening. And it ended up that they asked me to leave the office and to wait outside and to see if they could even take my insurance. And rather than, right, like Jenny was saying, going down this rabbit hole of, they don't want me, oh my gosh, why did this happen? I was like, yes, look, the anxiety, or that anxiousness I was feeling was actually real. It wasn't meant to be there. And now the universe is telling me to leave in the form of a physical human being telling me to wait in the lobby. And I want you to know at that point, I did another check-in the way I'm, talking about, and Jenny's talking about, you check in. And I immediately, the woman said, please take a seat. And I had a tear, right? So tears are good. That means emotions, energy is processing. She said, get that woman a tissue. She's crying. And I said, no. And in that moment, I checked in with myself. And I said, I specifically remember saying, Jen, does it feel lighter or heavier to walk out right now? And she said, if you walk out now, that feels lighter, because I should sit down. This woman, the office manager, is telling me to sit. But she told me it feels lighter to leave. And so I asked her one more time, because like I said, I waited a month for this appointment. So it was going to be at least another month to come back. And I asked her twice. So when it's really important, ask her twice. And she said, get your insurance card back and walk out. That feels lighter. And I did it. And everything is healing. Like, I decided I didn't even need to see that doctor. And Jenny's been so helpful. But in that moment, you can ask her. And she said lighter, and I walked out. And oh my gosh, people were like, why is she leaving? And you could feel them wanting to call me back, and they did call me back. Please come back. And I said, no, I am good. This is the right answer. And I left. And so it's brilliant. And I've had nothing since. So you got to listen, even if you're in a doctor's office. Listen wherever you are, because she's always talking. It doesn't have to be in your house at night, 8 p.m. She could be talking to you at 2 p.m. on a Thursday.
Yeah. That's amazing. And your higher self, your inner self, whatever that is for you, right? Like it's your gut knowing is what it is.
Never fails.
That's beautiful. Really, I love that connection. We were talking about letting emotions come up, right? So like if you notice a craving, for example, or even at this doctor's office, but we'll just go to the cravings because that's something so many people can relate to. It's evening and you notice this craving come up, or Pam was just talking about before I hit record, we were talking about, like it was my grandkid's birthday party and I wanted to like celebrate and have a piece of cake and right. And so here's what we can notice, right? If we slow down, if we give pause and elongate the space between our thought, I want this cake or cookie or wine or whatever, elongate the space between the thought I want it and the actual reacting to get it. We just want to open that space a little bit longer.
Yes.
So we can notice the thought.
Yes.
And if the thought is, I know this is going to inflame me, I'm okay with not feeling great tomorrow, it's important for me to connect with my granddaughter and share in the celebration with her cake. Like that may be the thought, but you want to get clear on that, right? So that then you can fully enjoy that piece of cake.
Does Pam know it was my birthday? Go ahead, keep going. And my daughter's.
No, I know, Jen. I told Pam, I'm like, Jen just went through the same thing with herself and her daughter.
But keep going, and then I'll talk about, that was good, what I did.
Right? Or is the thought like, my healing right now is really important, or my weight loss, or whatever it is that you're focusing on, right? Like that is an absolute priority, and feeling bad tomorrow or seeing that scale go up tomorrow is going to feel out of alignment. It's going to feel out of congruity. It's not going to feel good. Then to get clear on that, in that elongated space, we're just looking to get clear, right? The thought could also be, I feel disconnected if I don't eat this piece of cake with my family. Mm-hmm. Or I feel deprived if I don't eat this piece of cake, right? And if that's the question, then I go back to the same kind of strategy, Jen, that you use. Like, what can I do to support myself? How can I feel connected in another way? If I don't really want to feel bad, but I want to feel connected, right? I don't want to feel bad for the symptoms. Like, how can I feel connected? Can I like bring my daughter over and like sing her happy birthday, read her a book, like play, I don't know, doll.
That right now before I forget that thought, because you just brought up something really good, given that I turned 34 last Sunday, and one of my 3 kids, oh my gosh, turned 6 on Tuesday, so I had to like deal with it and then deal with it and then deal with it some more, because I got a birthday in 3 weeks, and then 40 Italians get together on December 24th, my favorite day of the whole year. We toast. And Jenny had said something or taught me something, and then I went and massaged it and, made it my own, which is what we all do, right? We make it our own. And so for my birthday, I was feeling bad that there was nothing for my children. I didn't care to have it, I noticed, but it was like feeling bad for my kids. So I had a conversation with them. It's amazing when we speak about it and get it out of our heads. The kids are like, Mom, we love you. We're so glad you're feeling good. Can we have mango smoothies? Like, just don't screw us, so to speak. They didn't even care about cake. But one of them said, can we have mango smoothies? And I said, yeah, mango smoothies. And when I expressed it, got the energy, emotions out of my head, shared it with my loved ones, my husband then came up with, well, we'll just sing to an avocado. So I didn't do jack. All I did was share how I was feeling. Husband came up with candle and an avocado, and my daughter was like, we'll just make mango smoothies. And I felt all the pressure off, and I did not miss the cake. Now for my daughter's birthday, that was harder. So Pam, I understand granddaughter, like I wanted to be part of it. And that one was hard. I'm not even going to pretend, but you know what? I decided. So I did what Jenny talks about, and I teach when you have a craving, I create a pause and just extend the pause long enough to have some sanity around what you're thinking. And I thought, well, so for me right now, I'm having so much fun with what I'm channeling and feeling and in my body that I didn't really even want the coconut sugar because it was a delicious paleo thing. Just having fun experimenting. So what I did was, I said, well, how long is it going to be? Can I endure just 10 minutes of my children eating it? And I would sing with them and just tell them, again, express, Mommy loves you all. I made you the cake. They helped me make it, and I'm just not going to have a piece tonight. And they were like, fine, Mom, can we have it? And it was like the stuff we make up in our head is sometimes so much bigger than the reality. And I'm all about sharing. And so tuning in with myself and with my children, and they love that Mommy feels this good, but can we still have it? And I think I might do that Christmas Eve. We'll see. I don't know. The 40 Italians, I might just have to cheer with some tequila. I don't know, but I might experiment and see what that feels like. But is that helpful? Well, so expressing it and getting it out of your head too and sharing it with the loved ones, for me, diffused it. It was only 10 minutes. The Italians is like 2 hours of like sugar festival and the food. I mean, it's hours. So I have to figure out how I'll do that. But I don't know. Is that helpful? Getting it out of the head and seeing it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I think it's just recognizing, again, you recognize like, oh, this isn't about me wanting the cake. It's about me wanting my kids to have something. That's so key, you guys. That is the kind of awareness that we're looking for. What are our thoughts? That's where Jenn thought her craving was coming from that, but she didn't actually have a craving. She just wanted her kids. Like, it is amazing what our thoughts will do. It's so incredible. And so to see that and to have the awareness is just by elongating that pause and then say, oh, how can I fix this problem? What can I do to solve it? Right? Like, for me, if I want to connect with my husband, he loves to connect with our kids eating ice cream, but our kids don't eat processed sugar, or very, very rarely. So how else can he connect with them? Like, oh, let's go for a mountain bike ride. Let's go take the tram up. Let's go ski. Like, what other ways can we connect with our kids?
Non-inflammatory ways.
Yeah. Like sit and just listen to them. Sit and listen to ourselves. So oftentimes at nighttime we feel the cravings or the anxiety comes up in the evenings, from stuff from the day that we felt like, oh, this didn't go right, or I got in a fight with this person, or whatever it may be. And then that anxiety makes it, we want to feel comforted. And that's when the craving hits, right? So what ways can we comfort ourselves? I love an Epsom salt bath, like a deep soaking tub with I'll put on like a Netflix movie and like watch a whole 2-hour Netflix movie, sit in the tub. Oh, so good. Right?
So let's do that. I mean, you keep going, but then I don't want to, I'll remember. But yes, that.
Okay. Right? Yeah. Or go for a walk, or go for a ski, or meditate for 2 minutes if that feels good. Read, what helps you feel comforted. get my grandma's crystal wine glass and pour it with the Harmless Harvest, that pink coconut water that's so good, and sip on that. You know, like, what can you do to comfort yourself?
And that to me is like one of the biggest takeaways from today. I feel like, although whatever, my brain always goes to what would be the biggest takeaway is figuring out for yourself is the journey. Like Jenny said that, and I was like, that would do nothing for me, the crystal with the coke. Like, I know it wouldn't. But for Jenny, she's like lit up for those like who can see it. For me, I'm like, oh, so what, but it's personal. So what I find is like experiment. Took me a long time to know that when I'm at my mom's house, or not even my mom, it could be in-laws. I know I'm highly sensitive. So for me, I'm always sensing energies. It could be at a neighbor's house. I'm like, hey, can I put on a cup of tea? So for me, even the words, can I put on a cup of tea? It's my safe word, tea. My kids are screaming and I want to put someone through a wall. It's like, hey, I'm going to make a cup of tea. And sometimes I don't even drink the tea, but I boil the water and I know it's Jen's about to take care of herself. And a lot of times we just don't know how to take care of ourselves. I mean, crying as a kid, I'd be spanked and thrown in my room. It wasn't, oh my God, what do you really need right now, honey? You know, I'd get out of my room and I would probably go eat a cookie. So you link, you know, reducing anxiety, cookie. But the truth is, I teach my kids, no, especially my littlest daughter, I notice when she starts to feel anxious, really an elevated emotion, she'll ask for TV, my little one. And so I started to put together, oh, something's trying to come up for Sydney. She's asking for TV. Instead of being disconnected and saying, sure, honey, just put it on, I'll say, what's up? Is everything all right? What do you need? And 9 out of 10 times, she'll start to cry. I'll be like, oh my gosh, did I upset you? Because I can be very in your face with stuff. I mean, it's just how I am. So as a parent, you know, I got to tone that down. But I will ask her because I notice she wants to watch TV. And so I let the emotion process. And then a lot of times she can watch TV. But I won't make that her thing because she'll be in her 20s and not know why she'll come back from a job or a business. And all of a sudden she wants to watch TV. And I don't say no to TV, but I'm just not a fan. Like, we just don't do a lot of it. It just unplugs you in a way where you're not in touch. So like Jenny is aware that she's unplugging and she's using that, but most people don't. They just are feeling something and they just turn on the TV. Right. Yeah. So so figure out what it is for you. For me, it's, okay, I'm just gonna make a cup of tea. Even if I don't drink it, it's just Jen needs help. She needs support. That's my like, throw the raft out to myself because I'm drowning in the pool.
That's amazing. I love it. It's all about awareness, you guys. It's all about elongating that space, creating awareness, and then giving ourselves the support that we need to help us feel better. So I know we don't have a ton of time left, but Jenn is giving all of you this anxiety-free holiday eating and abundant energy guide, which I will be posting in the Facebook group. And we've talked about, she's got kind of these 5 holiday rules, right, to helping reduce anxiety. And we've talked about one of them, which is slowing down, right? She says maintain your schedule throughout the holidays. Oh, no, sorry. This is maintain your workout schedule throughout the holidays. Number 1, maintain your workout schedule throughout the holiday. Can you just briefly like touch on that, what that might look like for people?
Yeah, just choose yourself first. When in doubt, choose you.
Thank you. So simple.
When in doubt, choose you. I always say you're the best person for your kids, for your spouse. If you live alone, it doesn't matter. For society, gosh, and besides, even if you're not with someone listening to this, you still have friends and family and people that rely on you because I know you're the hub for people. I know it. And just choose you first. It's just, again, it's another muscle. I always choose me first and my family always. So I love that. I choose me first and my family always. And it's a subtle thing, but I do it because I always come back better. So you just do that. And it could be a 20-minute workout. I was tired today. I didn't have the energy for that 45-minute thing I do. I know people were looking. I was chuckling. I did like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes there. I did a couple of band stretches and I went the hell home. Yeah. But I made the time. Amazing. 25 minutes and I was out and done. So make the time.
You made the time.
Always. Monday.
And if guys, that means like go for a walk, right? Like however, go dance in your kitchen. Like, do something that brings you so much joy. We've been talking about that, raising your vibrational frequency, like bringing joy into your life. Do that. It doesn't need to be this hard, difficult thing. Bring ease and flow into your life with movement. Jen, your holiday rule number 2, do not skip meals to save calories. This is huge. And I think we've moved beyond this in this group. We talk a lot about like, okay, if we, eating that clean protein every few hours to stabilize our insulin levels, to stabilize hormone levels, helps with cravings. But if we skip meals, you guys, we become hungry. And when we're hungry, tired, and stressed is when we reach for inflammatory foods.
Hands down.
Right, I was going to say, Jen, tell me how that ties in with anxiety.
Oh my
I know
God.
how it ties in.
Sugar. Yeah, when blood sugar goes up and down and high spikes and then lows, you feel anxious. I don't even know if biochemically wise, like I don't even say I know exactly what it is. I know it's hormone related. I'm just going to say the result is anxiety. And I would think, just thinking of the body, maybe putting all that stress on the body, highs and lows, you're eating, you're not. And it needs stability, just like having a schedule brings so much peace. It's when you don't know what's coming up next can make you anxious, but having a schedule actually brings freedom, which is like, we'll get to number 5, the budget. But having a schedule actually brings freedom, just like having a budget brings freedom, which we'll get to. So plan for yourself and don't skip. If it's not for calories, don't skip because you got to pick someone up or you got to run somewhere because you ran late with a client. Don't skip. You got to eat. Love.
And that really ties in with boundary setting and what is in your highest good. What's going to support you, right? Like, create those boundaries, make that commitment to yourself, and just do it because you will not regret it. It will be everything. Absolutely. Number 3, get to bed early. I love this one so dang much. Jen, tell us more about this.
Well, people will eat clean. They'll do everything else. And I'll be like, hey, to clients or to friends, I'll be like, I don't know why I wake up cranky, or I have to have a cup of coffee at 10, no judgment, or I just don't feel good. I'm like, well, what time do you go to bed? Like, I don't know, like midnight. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Your body is a machine, a beautiful machine. The machine needs to sleep. And you will know what's best for you, so experiment. But I'm telling you, 9 p.m. last night, me and the hubs in bed, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. We were shot, and like, no judgment. I'll go to bed mostly 10, but you have to know for you what that could look like. But I knew what was on my plate today, and 9 o'clock, the body was done. And when you're not adding stimulants to your body tells you when you're done, and you need to listen. Yeah. So it's personal to everyone, but what's not personal is at least 8 hours. I don't care what anyone says. 7 to 8 hours maximum. And last night I got, about 11. I slept. Went to bed at 9. I got up at 7. Yeah, I got 10. I was exhausted.
Well, and that's also when we're regenerating. Like, when we are sleeping is when our liver's in overdrive. It's when the cells in our body are regenerating so much more. Like, it is a really potent time for the healing in our body to take place. Yes. And if along with allowing our nervous system to just release and let go. So if we don't do those things, then we can't expect our body to function, even if we're doing everything else right? We're taking our supplements, we're eating clean, we're drinking our water, all those, we can get to a certain level, but that rest is huge.
It's everything. To me, it's right up there. Anti-inflammatory food and water, and sleep.
Mm-hmm. I agree entirely.
Love it.
Number 4, shop with a budget during the holidays. Tell us about this one. This is fun.
Listen, if you have a bigger budget than others, great. This year, things are so flowing, so my budget is like fluid. But I know within reason. And so women by nature, I feel like, are givers. And so we'll give of our time, we'll give of our energy. We will give. And I find it's like almost a lot of guilt around the holidays, around what to spend, who to buy for, what, and it's like, that is stressful. And I mean, if you have money stuff, then for sure, please shop with a budget and make things, do things other than having to physically go out and buy stuff. I just find it's the most wonderful time of the year if you take care of yourself. And it's
Yeah.
not if shame and guilt and I really need to buy that, but it extends me a little bit is part of it. Come January, there's a reason why the flu is rampant. And it's not just because we're eating too much sugar. It's because we're not sleeping a lot. It's because we're over shopping. I mean, my husband and I were just talking about it. I mean, my kid's home today, so I don't want to say too much, but we were wrapping things and we slowed down actually. This was great. And we looked at everything that was out for each kid. And we took a deep breath and we said, energetically, does this feel like enough? Because if you compare to this one and that one and this one and that one, it's confusing. And we said, you know what? This energetically feels great. We wrapped and we were done. And I'm done. I don't care
That's
what
awesome.
the TV shows say or the Santa list. We energetically said done. And so shop with a budget. It makes January so nice. Like I only use my debit card too. I don't do those credit cards unless it's like a business thing. So it makes it even easier. Just, yeah. Anyway, all right. So that was 4.
That's huge. That's amazing.
And
It's such a practical tip that I think we forget about over the holidays a lot. We just kind of let reckless abandon take over a lot.
5.
So we already covered this, right? Simply say thanks, but no thanks. How, like creating boundaries, really prioritizing yourself. Jenn, like when you said the holidays are the best time of the year when we're taking care of yourself, so true. And when we're not, the holidays are stressful. They're overwhelming. They can make us really depressed and sad. And it's one extreme or the other. And so that self-care is absolutely crucial.
Yes. And I just want to say it's not always the popular thing you do. So be unpopular and teach people how to take care of themselves. I say that because I'm a giver and I never want to hurt feelings and I'm hypersensitive. But I know I'm like, good. I said no, but I know someone is watching and it's a lesson for someone else in self-care. And that's how givers, highly sensitive women who are such lovers can do it with grace and ease. Because someone else is watching who needed to say no too. And now they're saying no.
I love that. So beautiful. Thank you. So you guys, in this handout that you're going to get, there are also some really delicious looking treats for drama-less dessert ideas: baked apples, raw cacao date balls, wheat-free sunflower crunchies, baked bananas. Yum. These look amazing, Jenn. Thank you so much for this gift. That's really, really sweet of you.
Oh, you're welcome.
And so you guys, Jenn does almost, I won't say every day. You sometimes will go on spurts where you're doing a Facebook Live every day, but definitely every week. She, as you can tell, is an amazing presenter, a really engaging speaker, and she really speaks her truth. Stuff that's just coming up in her life, she will talk to you about it. So how can people find you? And I also want to make sure you share your Facebook site where you are always talking to us.
Yeah, so what's great is I'm Jenn Edden across the board. I also simplify the complex. So if you ever want to find me, you can Google JENNEDDEN, Jenn Edden. Facebook, you're welcome to friend me. Instagram that way. I do a little Twitter, some LinkedIn, my website, jecoaching.com or Google Jenn Edden. And yeah, it's more of what we're talking about with the sugar addiction flair. And you can find me, if you feel inspired that way, please go right ahead. I wrote a book, Woman Unleashed, Energy, Confidence, and How to Kick Sugar, although Jenny has mastered that with you all. But energy and confidence is, when you have that, right, Jenny, it all flows. So yeah, you can find me that way. And just thank you for having me. It was my pleasure to share what hasn't worked to get to what works.
Amazing. Thank you for coming. I love you. I love you so much. Pam, I'm so glad you're here live with us. Yeah. I do have 2 more minutes. Pam, do you have any questions before in this last couple minutes? Anything coming up for you that you want to ask Jenn about?
I think that this weekend I got so confused because I had a similar birthday party with other grandchildren. I have 16 grandchildren. a few weeks ago, and it was no problem at all because it's a big group of us that gets together, and I just focused on the people. And I don't know what happened yesterday, but it was like my eyes looked at that cake. And it's like, that's beautiful. I gotta have some. I don't know. I'm kind of clueless about what really happened because I've done really well, and it just sort of whacked me. And I've thought back about, well, we ate before we went. I snacked on some vegetables that were there. I don't know why, but then it's that slippery slope. It's like after you have a bite of sugar, it's just opens Pandora's box, and it's hard to stop.
Agreed. Sounds like you did great. And I go through the same thing, and I do this for a living. Jenny knows. It's like a light switch. I call it a light switch. I laugh with the kids. Like, oh, the switch went off. They're like, all right, Mom. Like, we're just very vocal about it, and they know.
Yeah.
For themselves,
I'm worried because we have to do a cookie swap for Christmas Eve, and I'm like, oh, and one of my grandsons is allergic to nuts, and so I can't make the delicious molasses ginger cookies because it's got almond flour in it. And so then I'm like, okay, well, I don't even have regular flour or regular sugar in my house. But I thought, well, maybe I should make something and just take it. But I just worry about opening Pandora's box again and going, oh, those all look so pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And
this is like the basic application part of if
Can
you
I
look
just ask a favor just because I have to hop? I have a client.
Oh, yeah,
But Pam, if you want me in the Facebook group, Jenny, even for a few days when this goes live, Pam, I can get to you with that too because I have it, and I'm just gonna say I get you're fabulous. Jenny said something to me that said, "This is not long term. It's as long as I want it to be till I heal." And to remember I'm on a healing journey and that I can always choose yes. And that took all the energy off it. So, but I'm welcome to come in the group, but I have to hop. But just.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh my God, such a pleasure. And congratulations on those 16 kids.
Thank you.
That's incredible.
So awesome.
Nice, thank you.
Love you, Jen. Thanks. And I will add you to the group. So you
Please
can
do it. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Pam, so really quickly from just like an applications kind of point of view is there is a cookie called Vanilla Chocolate Kisses. It's a vanilla coconut. It's like a thumbprint, but the bottom cookie is a vanilla coconut cookie. There's no nuts in it. Okay. And then it's a chocolate ganache. Oh my gosh. In the center. It is insanely delicious. So good. Very festive, rich. You don't bake anything. It's super simple. So bringing something like that would be great. And then also, rather than analyzing like what happened last time, because so often, like once that thought has come up, the thought that we're talking about, trying to find that thought, that awareness. Yeah. It's really difficult to go back and try and find it because our awareness wasn't there anyways to begin with. So how can we go back in time? But what a perfect opportunity moving forward to elongate that space between the thought and the reaction and see what thought is coming up and ask yourself, what can I give to help myself and my health in this situation? Yeah. And just notice what it is and then post it in the Facebook group because I would love to see what that thought is, the awareness that comes up. Okay. Awesome. Sound good? And then we can go from there. I will add Jen to this group so that if she has anything else to add as well. Perfect. All right, sweetness. I am so excited. And I see that you just signed up for a 6-month program. So I'm super jazzed to keep working with you. Thank you. Yay. Well, love you. Have a beautiful day. All right. You too, Jen. Okay. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.